Welcome to the Growlers and Gremlins podcast, an alcoholic adventure in cryptids, paranormal, and the occult. Coming to you weekly from the heartland of America. Welcome to the Growlers and Gremlins podcast. My name is Jason. I am your favorite host and analyst. Joining me this week is...
John, the theorist and Jonestown survivor.
Brian, I'm not dead and I am returning.
We have Jesse, Plan B.
You know, you'd save a lot of money on Plan B if you just learned to pull out.
Yeah, probably. You're probably right.
I forgot you had that joke planned, so it hit fresh.
Planned.
I totally forgot about it. Yeah, he told me about it a few days ago. He's like, I'm going to say this. And I laughed. And I was like, that's actually going to be funny. And then I forgot about it. So it really was funny when he said it, too.
Wow.
So it was fresh.
It hit good.
Yeah.
So our beer this week is from Brewlinks in Plainfield, Indiana. Brewlink in Plainfield, Indiana. Amazing beer for your mouth hole. It is the How Now Brown Cow Salted Caramel Brown Ale.
Perfect.
Yeah. I didn't spend a bunch of time practicing that before I had to say it. I thought you'd have it poured by now. God damn.
Well, I wanted to see if I could capture the sound of the cap opening.
Wow, what a head.
Not as dark. Okay.
It's more coffee brown.
Yeah, this is not as dark as the last one.
It's not like motor oil.
No, this is just a brown ale. It's pretty...
Oh, I see how it is. Brian gets it last.
Oh, sorry. He's just right there. It was in my right hand.
Oh,
We'll do a circle here. I'll wait till everyone has some to sip.
It's
Dude.
4 guys in a room. Don't call it a circle.
A circle sip. A circle sip. It's not like we're making an elephant line here.
It's 4 fat guys in a small room. I mean, come on.
That's why it's hot.
Real hot and musty.
Yeah.
Jason, do you want to do an elephant march?
No.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that term. Oh, that's a nice pouring sound. It's picking up. It's not going to make the noise gate, but the sound of Jason's pouring was coming in through a mic.
It was like
felt so good in my ears.
Light natural stream out in the wilderness.
Mm-hmm. Let's let him get his glass and then we'll
slurp on that caramel. Should we say caramel?
I will stab you in the fucking
I hate
throat.
that so much. I mean, I know it's correct.
You
but I hate
pretentious
it.
prick. All right, shotgun that shit, boys.
Oh, yes. Straight up salted caramel there.
Yeah,
I can taste the salt.
Got a bit of pretzel notes too. Like oh man, that really genuinely tastes salty.
It's like you get it really.
Does it remind you of something else that's salty, John? A salty treat?
They nailed it.
Well, when you breathe back into your mouth, you know, like
you feel that caramel.
It's.
Oh, I can taste the caramel now.
Yeah, it's very good.
It's solid. It's really in there.
It's a good aftertaste.
So, should we start giving these ratings? Or just...
Oh God, no! Because it'll just be bad. Because no one will ever top Brewlink, in my opinion. I love all beers, but like Brewlink, to me, they just have this thing about them that, like, you know how like Sonic is like a restaurant made for fat people.
I've never been
in
to
that
Sonic.
You can customize everything on the menu. They'll make you anything you want with the ingredients they have available. It's all, or no, that was actually Jack in the Box that did that. But Sonic is similar. Sonic has the highest calories per burger of any fast food restaurant in the country. And they have things that are just like meant for the little fat kid inside you. Like it's chili dogs and like loaded tots, buffalo wings, real juicy burgers. You know, it's like a guilty pleasure food. Brewlink is like, they're not trying to be real, you know, hip with their beers and be like, oh, well, we've made this with this type of barley roasted in this region in this temperature and all this, you know. They're just like, what would taste good? Salted caramel. You know, they're just like coming up with ideas all the time of like, let's make an Oreo beer. Let's make s'mores.
Yeah,
let's do.
It's like
beers that taste like food.
It's like you can be a coffee purist and just like, you know, I want, you know, a blonde roast and blah blah blah.
Yeah. Or
you could be the basic bitch that loves pumpkin spice lattes.
And that's
and this is the pumpkin spice lattes of beer. Like
they're of breweries, and not to say they're basic, but they're just not afraid to have fun with it. Like
it's you're not like snobbing it up. You're just having something that is just pure enjoyable.
Yeah, like they did a line of cereal beers. They had a Lucky Charms beer, and I was like, oh man, like who doesn't want to drink some Lucky Charms? It's like, yeah, you're not proud of it, but you are, you know.
What do you two think?
I've already given my opinion. I like it. Not something I would get over the Ebony, but I like them.
I don't have enough good. I mean, I have too many good things to say.
Turn this into the Brewlink podcast.
Oh, you know it, man.
Demonic
We'd have to
so
up the
good.
operating budget to
afford getting beer from there every time. Yeah.
Everybody gets a growler.
Now, to be fair, the number I quoted you was also the fact that I had beers there and a meal as well.
Oh, yeah.
But,
well, that makes a huge
no,
difference.
because because beers cost by for the growler fills at any brewery, it's not a set price. It depends on the beer you get and the alcohol content of it.
Mm-hmm.
Higher alcohol content, the more money you spend on that growler.
What was the most expensive one?
I think the jelly donut might have been the most expensive.
Oh, really?
That's the one. Yeah,
That's
we'll
weird.
get to that.
Yeah.
I'm almost done with this already. We haven't even
Boy,
started.
Nothing
This is what
fills-
happened last time.
Yeah, you just let this marinate so
Yeah.
we can have some beer the whole time.
There's- so
Nothing
good.
fills me up quite like a jelly-filled donut.
Mm.
Oh, man.
So, how do I segue?
Well, John has to segue. Oh, wait.
No, I don't.
Sorry, I forgot who was going.
Did you just forget you just sat through an entire John episode?
He's a little bit focused on
Just-
the fact that he actually is going to have a topic next week.
Ooh, make sure you subscribe, hit that like button. Be ready for the
That's what they think.
actual Brian episode.
That is what they think.
So I guess I
Just
should
hit
get the
us with
topic
it.
for my episode then.
Yeah.
Kind of an expansion of last week's evil and an exploration of what that evil might be. So there are like 6 kinds of possession that are commonly addressed by different religions.
Mhm.
And I got a list of them here. So first one being demonic possession. It's when a demon takes over a person without their consent. It's what you see in most movies. It involves speaking in tongues, sudden personality changes, sudden violence, and even superhuman strength. Okay, that's The Exorcist.
Mm-hmm.
Black
Everything
Exorcism,
you see
Emily
on
Rose.
film.
Yeah.
The classic exorcism movie.
Yeah.
Any movie about an exorcism.
The second kind, physical pain. This is a sickness or injury due to a demon being inside a person. It doesn't impact the soul, just the body. Could appear as unusual injuries or rare, lifelong degenerative maladies suddenly manifesting.
Like fibromyalgia.
Or
I feel like any disorder where they have to have infomercials to tell you fibromyalgia is a real disease. Is not a real disease. Like, I could go on for a whole episode about fibromyalgia because my wife was diagnosed with it once. It was wrong. No, she didn't have fibromyalgia.
Well, I was just thinking about your wife's brain suddenly yeeting itself down the brain.
Well, then that's what it was. But they were like, well, maybe it's fibromyalgia because we can't figure it out. So let's just slap a name on something.
That's just the default diagnosis.
Yeah, like if we don't know what it is and we think you might be making it up, let's call it fibromyalgia because they don't want to like accuse you of making it up.
Cancer. Cancer.
So,
It's always cancer. You can downgrade from there. Because then when you downgrade, they're happy.
We all have cancer.
I am cancer.
demonic obsession. When a person has constant, overwhelming, and irrational thoughts, making them act in perverse ways. The most highly functional of all the possessions, but it can lead to suicidal ideation and murder.
Don't look at me.
I was
Don't look
looking
at
at
me.
him the whole time you were reading that. I was like, oh, Brian.
Yeah.
Don't look at me. I'm perfectly normal. You pricks.
Demonic infestation, number 4. It is when demonic entities take over a house, an object, or even an animal.
Ooh.
What one might commonly refer to as hauntings.
Oh, that's interesting. I've actually never heard like hauntings
As an
classified
infestation.
that way. Yeah, like that's actually cool, like a demonic infestation. But I have actually heard the idea that like ghosts aren't real; it's demons. You know, that kind of stuff. We'll get into it later.
Yeah. Number 5, demonic subjugation. This is when the possessed invites the demon into their lives. They do this through ritual or pledging their soul to the demonic entity. So this is your Ouija boards, your D&D.
Chaos gods.
Crazy stories about Ouija
Corn.
boards out
Yeah.
there, man.
Slanesh.
Like that's one of those things.
Gnarl.
Like I like to dabble in things. And I
Zinch.
like to like think like, yeah, you know, nothing can get me, you know. And I like to look into evil stuff. I really like all that, but like I just have like such a serious policy like in me that I won't mess with a Ouija board. Like
Well,
I
like-
won't, because I've heard too many stories from like people I know of like just weird stuff with that.
Why would you try to conjure evil? Like,
Well, it's a game made by Hasbro.
I will say this.
You can buy them at toy stores. Like,
Yeah.
it's horrible.
You know what I mean? Like, why would you
Even
try
inviting that into your life?
Yeah.
Wouldn't
you try to not invite that?
Well, if you don't believe in it, and that's a lot of the stories I've heard is where like someone doesn't really believe in anything, and then they use a Ouija board, and then they're like, "Oh, okay, I'm a little scared now."
Well, yeah.
Oh no, my cat is walking sideways across the wall. Fuck! Get out of my cat, you hell dog.
I'm one of the opinion that I think that atheism is an attitude. It's not necessarily.
Did we even get through all 6?
No.
Okay.
It's not necessarily something that I'm saying. I'm not saying that, like, people aren't atheists and don't genuinely believe, but I think that it's one of those things that, like, deep down, I feel like everyone, like, they have to, like, as an animal instinct, believe that there's something beyond themselves, not necessarily anything attached to any religion, but, like, there's like an innate fear we have of like things like Ouija boards and like doing things that, you know, even if you're someone who doesn't even believe in it, you're still kind of freaked out by it generally, in my experience.
I don't think that's an animalistic instinct, because no dog probably thinks there's anything beyond them.
Well, no, and I'm not saying animalistic as in like animals. I'm just saying like something within us that's like ingrained.
Kind of
humans.
like an evil inside us.
Like that, yeah, like I talked about in the last episode of like that sense of evil where you can just feel when things are off. We have this like sixth sense that we can't explain, you can't measure it, but you just know. Like there's some things you don't do.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm convinced.
And number 6,
The topic of this episode.
Jeez.
More evil.
And I feel like an extension of last week's episode, demonic oppression. This is when a demon torments a person, causing tragic events in their lives. The loss of a loved one, the loss of a job, a home. Basically, the story of Job. Right?
Well, you could elaborate for listeners who don't know the story of Job.
Ooh.
But
we can
so today,
I like that.
All
story.
the 6 I've chosen demonic oppression, just because it seemed like a natural progression from where we left off last week.
I have a problem. I'm already on another beer. I can't help myself, man. This stuff is so good. I'm just going to go for a halvesy here.
That's way more than anybody got on their halvesy last time. And you put a head the size of a fucking mountain on it.
I bought it.
You can have it. It's cool.
It's so good, man.
Yeah. So, demonic oppression seems very poignant in today's society, where there's a lot of people experiencing a lot of loss, a lot of
depression,
just, you know,
suicide is rampant.
Yeah. Especially in the older people.
Oh.
So, yeah, the unchecked loss and suffering has left people searching for answers. The Catholic faith teaches that there are good angels found in heaven and on earth, while fallen angels are found in hell and on earth. These fallen angels are said to have a power over human loss and suffering. These kinds of attacks, which are neither temptation nor possession, are known as oppression. So it's like, this is not, you know, directly torturing you or taking control of you. This is just everything that falls in between.
Yeah.
Influencing.
So, biblical example, like I said, is the story of Job. It's commonly pointed out for demonic oppression. Job was a wealthy man living in the land of Uz with his large family.
In the land of Oz.
I actually had to find a YouTube video on how to pronounce that properly.
Uz, yeah.
Oh, that's not important, though.
To be fair, in the last episode, I had to Google the correct pronunciation of Baha'i, because that's a word I've been familiar with for a lot of years, because I know of that faith, but I've always only read it. And in my head, I would read it as Baha'i, but there's a bunch of apostrophes there, and so I had to Google, like, how do you actually pronounce this correctly? Because, fun fact, Rainn Wilson, Dwight Schrute of The Office, grew up in the Baha'i faith.
You're doing real good on this. Like, I'm going to spend 4 weeks without going off topic.
That is on topic.
All right.
Oh, I love this story.
So, yeah, Job has this large family, extensive flocks. He's a wealthy man of the land. He is said to be blameless and upright, always careful to avoid doing evil.
And he praises God every day.
Yep. One day, Satan appears before God in heaven. God boasts to Satan about Job's goodness. but Satan argues that Job is only good because God has blessed him abundantly. Satan challenges God that if given permission to punish the man, Job will turn and curse God. God allows Satan to torment Job to test his bold claim, but he forbids Satan from taking Job's life. In the course of one day, Job loses his livestock, his servants, 10 children, to marauding invaders and natural catastrophes. Job tears his clothes and shaves his head in mourning. But still he blesses God. Satan is given permission to test Job again. This time Job is afflicted with horrible skin sores. Job's wife encourages him to curse God and to give up and die. This is kind of makes me wonder, like, what kind of person was Job's wife? Like, Satan's in the process of taking everything that means anything to him, and he leaves behind the wife.
Did Satan influence the wife to say that kind of stuff to kind of get the...
She just may not be as...
I'm going to say
she likely wasn't as, like, strong in faith as Job.
Well,
that's the whole story, is that, like, he was someone who was, like, 100%, like, about it. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so...
There's different versions of the story where...
There's only one version of the story, quite literally, Brian. There is only one version of the story.
I've heard different.
Job is a book in the Bible.
Whatever. I've heard different interpretations.
Thousands of years old.
Where the wife doesn't make it.
There are different interpretations. There's only one official version.
Okay, there's different interpretations. But the one I like is the one I got told, where he lost everything. Like, the dude has nothing, and he's just, like, he's in a ditch. He's covered in sores. He's, like, dying horribly, slowly. And he's just, like, he's on the side of the road near his burned down home. All his stuff's gone, and he's just laying there waiting for death.
I believe, if I'm wrong, the sores were so bad he would actually take charcoals from his fire to scrape them in order to kind of... what's the word I'm looking for? Cauterize them as he scratched them.
That on your notes?
Tasty.
Yeah.
Yeah, man jerky. But yeah, that story is...
Yeah. The story continues with Job conversing with friends before ultimately reaffirming his faith. The takeaway I have from this story is that fallen angels, in this case Satan, need little reason to toy with human suffering. It can be out of spite, or it can simply be in the form of a gentleman's bet.
That God got nothing out of.
That's kind of how I've always been taught the story of Job, is that it was kind of like a gentleman's bet, a bet between God and Satan. Yeah. Like, let's see what happens here.
Yeah, but again, different interpretation. God got nothing out of this except to go, ha, my guy still loves me. Fuck you. Yeah, you killed his family, but he still loves me. Like, there's nothing coming out of this.
Well, what he gains by that is sort of a neutering of Satan. And that no matter what you do, you cannot take from me.
Oh, yeah.
In that one instance, at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. What I find funny, though, is I kind of picture the interaction between God and Satan like some 90s sitcom. Like, Satan just busted the door like Kramer. And you know.
Oh, man. You want to see a good interaction of this exact moment? There is a video on the Wooly Versus YouTube channel where he has something called Wooly versus God, and he animated out like Satan tempting people on the street with crack. He's like, hey, God, that
was the U.S. government tempting people with crack.
No.
Just to get things straight there.
Yeah, we're not talking about...
But I just picture, Satan backed by a laugh track, and he's just like, so Job,
you Satan,
can I fuck his shit up and see what he'll do?
Take that shield off of him and let me have at it. Give me that ass, Job.
But it just kind of goes to because like we talk about evil is random, evil, Satan had no reason to want to punish Job.
Other than the
fact that God was defending him.
Other than the fact that he is the personification of evil in Christianity, and therefore his whole reason would be just to punish him.
Yeah, but of all the people in the world, he
to try to pull him away from good.
Right.
Well, also,
why not take on a challenge? Take one of the best.
There in the story, they picked Job because Job was so well off because he thought that God was just giving him everything. So he was like, well, here's a guy.
Well, it wasn't he was just giving him. He actually had blessings to his person from God, and that was what was protecting him from Satan's influence.
Well, and that has a lot to do with like what I was saying about was it Nietzsche? Who was saying that evil comes from the perception of having a lack of power, those who have power are oppressing you. Well, Job had everything. So
but Job wasn't oppressing Satan.
Yeah, but by
Satan
that philosophy, there would
factor.
be no tendency for him to lean towards evil because he had not been oppressed by anyone. He had led a great life. So Satan's idea was, if I introduce oppression, he will likely turn and see the force that has been giving him things as evil, like that he would turn on God. And that it's a thing in society that, that story is so ingrained in culture. And it's what's the word here? It was a little bit ahead of its time in predicting human conditions, in that people tend to lose faith in things after horrible things happen to them. And that's what the story is about, is that, when horrible things happen, people tend to lose faith because, it's evil. The whole idea of, if evil exists, how can there be a God? Because if God created everything, then why would he create evil? So then the religious perspective on that is that all things that happen to you are a test, and that, you'll never be given more than you can handle, all that kind of crap, And technically in the story of Job, that's exactly what it is. It is a test. He's testing Job, letting Satan do whatever he wants to him, so then he can see, obviously in the case of Job, it was not more than he could handle, and he didn't lose faith.
Right.
That's the whole lesson of the story, is that even though horrible things happen, don't lose faith, that kind of stuff.
Right. For an example of a modern times story, I found this from Searcy, Arkansas. Searcy is this mid-sized town with a population about 25,000, known for Harding University, a private Christian university founded in 1924. But in November of 2006, according to local reports, Searcy was home to a bizarre case of demonic oppression. Amy Stomatis was left paralyzed below the waist after she plunged from the second story of her Searcy home onto the brick patio in November 2006. The circumstance of the incident was unusual. Stomatis had climbed into an open window, was sitting on the sill when she fell. She insists she did not jump. But for months beforehand, Stomatis had been struggling with dark thoughts and had heard voices telling her to kill herself, and sought treatment from doctors and psychiatrists. The voices did not stop, though. Stomatis believed she was going through a mental breakdown. After her fall, she was lying in a hospital bed when she visited by a woman who claimed to have raised the dead, healed the terminally ill through prayer. And the woman saw something in Stomatis that no one else had. She saw demons. So here's this lady that had
Satan
thrown herself from her bedroom window, supposedly at the behest of demons who were just fucking with her life.
Do a flip.
So what led to this point where she decided that, jumping out a window was a good idea was Stomatis began experiencing strange ailments 7 months before her fall. She was wrapping up a 24-hour shift as a med-flight nurse at Baptist Health Medical Center in Little Rock when she was tasked with treating a burn patient. After wheeling him on a stretcher and completing a report, she found herself wandering the halls of the emergency room aimlessly. She had suddenly forgotten how to do her job. So the prevailing belief is that the demons just took that from her.
All right.
Sounds like a end of a 24-hour shift.
Chances are, though, like you just said, she's dealing with a severe burn patient. Maybe her first one.
Yeah.
Burn patients, like severe burns, that is a whole other level of suffering and disfigurement and just horror that you just never expect to see.
Like, I tell the story about that one guy
who was so bad.
Like maybe you can
and
see
that just might have just really screwed her up for the night. Just like seeing someone have to go through that.
Right.
Like you could probably see like people's guts laying on the floor and stuff, and like that might not hit you.
But when you see somebody cooked alive,
when you see like a crispy critter like that, you might be like, "Oh shit!"
Yeah,
crispy critter. Come on, man.
Have you never? You did not say that.
I know, but I was trying to be sympathetic because it's a horrible thing.
No,
and he's like crispy critter.
Yeah, somebody comes in looking like Human Jerky, and it's like, fuck, man.
God,
get a little skin flake off of that. Take a bite.
Oh,
okay.
Man jerky.
That, John, that completely overrid what I said.
Yeah, that did.
Man.
Brian taking a bite off of burn victim.
So thanks, Brian. I'm okay now. I'm not the bad guy here.
That's right. He was the bad guy in the last episode for sure.
Yeah, but no, I mean, I can get like she sees that for the first time after, like at the end of a 24-hour shift, and like we know a nurse. I know several nurses that have done shifts like this, and some of them don't see people like that, and some of them work exclusively with situations like that where what do you work? I'm a trauma surgeon or a trauma nurse or an EMT, and it's like, oh wow, so you really like, yeah, you kind of get used to it. But if this is like a just emergency room nurse who's been there, said she was in school, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, so she's probably, I'm going to give her, like, she's been there for like 2 years. Maybe she hasn't really experienced what this situation was. And it was just like end of the day, coming off 24 hours, tired, and it just hit her at once.
It also doesn't say the age of the burn patient.
Yeah, it could have been a kid.
Yeah,
yeah, it doesn't.
Little tater tot.
That's... I just feel like
you are insisting on making this worse, aren't you?
Of all the trauma cases you get in the ER, I feel like burns are one of the least common, like severe full body burns.
Yeah,
I feel like that would be incredibly.
Most people die when they get severely burned.
Yeah,
unless it's like a grease burn or something.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. But a quote from Stomatis: "After I took care of him, my mind went out the window. I was just blank."
Mm-hmm.
That was her final shift at the hospital. Stomatis, a marathon runner, went home and was unable to run a straight line. She couldn't even perform simple tasks like picking out her clothes. Stomatis told her husband she was having a nervous breakdown, which began a string of visits to doctors and psychiatrists' hospitals. Psychiatric hospitals. There we go. She was diagnosed with different mental illnesses. Stomatis said doctors prescribed her antidepressants like they were candy, but the voices continued and her behavior became unpredictable.
Oh, yeah.
She stripped out of her clothes at a family gathering with her in-laws. During visits to the hospital, she yelled at her former co-workers. Particularly tense episode happened when Stomatis and her husband traveled to the Mayo Clinic in Minnesota looking for specialized treatment. While there, she broke away from the doctors, climbed 7 or 8 stories up to the edge of the parking ramp, and threatened to jump. Police and her husband had to talk her down, but the voices continued.
Okay,
see,
yeah. This sounds more and more like a mental break.
Well, see, I feel like it's easy to explain it as a mental break, after the trauma of caring for that patient, but at the same time, you're going from the demonic oppression side of it. When you're most vulnerable, is when it would strike. You know what I mean? Like if you were going to be oppressed by an evil spirit or a demon, the time to strike would be when you're most vulnerable, because I feel like
tired, disturbed.
We have to go from a spiritual perspective if we're talking about demonic oppression, because that doesn't exist if you don't, So I feel like in a time like that, you'd be very spiritually vulnerable, and that would be the time to strike if like something was going to come after you. And the way I learned about it growing up, and then also like just through life, is that like generally demonic oppression is what happens to religious people, because religious people are supposed to be sort of immune from demonic possession. But if they can't possess you, why not just make your life a living hell? So that's, maybe she was a religious person, and
right, because the rest of us are going down anyway. So they're just like, we'll leave him alone. We'll see him shortly.
Well, no, the idea is that non-religious people are susceptible to demonic possession, but religious people are not. So they're more likely to be oppressed rather than possessed.
Okay, I get you.
So am I possessed?
Probably.
I don't know.
You are the demon.
Yeah. There's no more Brian there. It's just The demon's just hanging out. Like, I'll just take this for a ride. Fuck it.
He's not even helping. I'm just here. I'm not driving. I'm just in the back seat.
He's just looking like, I can't make the situation any worse. So
we'll just see where this goes.
So the Downtown Church of Christ in Cersei held a prayer service for Stomatis after she fell. Among those in attendance was Cindy Lawson, a Pentecostal evangelist who performed about 10 exorcisms. Pentecostals call them demon castings, but the rite is unfortunately the same. It's fundamentally the same.
All right, I have to tell you a story.
All right.
Okay, so Pentecostals, man. If we have Pentecostal listeners, we probably don't. But they're a little nuts, okay? So I got to tell you a little story about my dad. He had a girlfriend for years and years when he was younger. And she grew up in some sort of breed of Pentecostal family. And at her church, they would perform exorcisms every week. So that's weird in itself. But they believed that any sin that someone committed was caused by a demon being inside them. So they would exorcise people weekly.
Satan.
That's weird. But where it gets really weird is where she would tell my dad stories about her seeing creatures crawl out of people's mouths and run out of the church. That is strange.
I think if I saw something crawl out of someone's mouth, I'd run out of the church too.
Like full size, like humanoids climbing out of someone's mouth. Not just like a little thing, you know?
The drugs must have been real good.
Yeah, like that's strange,
There's something in that communion juice.
Jungle juice.
Was it a Pentecostal church or was it your dad, a cult maybe?
No, supposedly it was some kind of Pentecostal church. This would have been in the Chicago area, but yeah, I don't know a whole lot about it. I heard some stories and I was like, that is really weird. But as far as the communion juice goes, generally you'll find in churches that only the Catholic Church uses actual wine for communion. The rest use Welch's grape juice.
Mm-hmm.
I got wine. Tasted really bad. Communion.
Because you grew up in a Catholic family.
No, I grew up in a Catholic family as being very generous.
Well, I know what you mean, but like a historically Catholic family, not like necessarily practicing, but historically was a Catholic family, were they not?
No. My mom
they were.
and her family were.
Okay.
My dad and his family were Methodist.
Sort of halvesy Pentecostals.
Yeah.
Pseudo Pentecostals.
Yeah. Do not make fun of my grandfather. And my grandmother.
So Lawson, the Pentecostal, said, the Lord spoke to me and told me to go to the hospital to cast the demon out of her. I could feel something churning. Stomatis had broken her back in 3 places, punctured both lungs, and broken her ribs.
How the fuck is she still alive?
She said the injuries indicate that she did not brace herself for impact. None of the bones in her arms or legs were broken, so she didn't even attempt to save herself. She just, in the arms of an angel, I don't know.
Just belly flopped into it.
Arms of an angel.
All right. Lawson said when she arrived at the hospital, Stomatis was wide-eyed. I could see the demons, Lawson said. A friend of Stomatis told her that Lawson was there to pray over her. According to Lawson, Stomatis, or something inside of her, growled in response. Why are you here? Stomatis snarled. Lawson brought out anointing oil and wiped it across Stomatis' head. The prayer, and Stomatis' facial expression changed. And Lawson claims the Spirit of the Lord fell into that room. Stomatis made a recovery, but never walked again. But she still holds to the fact that something had spoken to her and told her to do this.
Did she know how to do her job after that?
No, she never returned to being a nurse.
Well, I mean, not practicing, but did she know
she can neither mentally nor physically perform her job anymore?
God damn.
So, demonic oppression subject, I tend to lean towards, I sometimes believe that there are actually evil beings and evil forces in this world. You look into too many things like shadow people, all that kind of stuff, demons, you know, and it's like there's some stories you'll hear that'll like make you sort of believe like maybe it is real, but you never really like have a moment where you're like, whoa, you know, maybe this is all real, until so someone could have an experience and it just be an odd thing and they're like, okay, that was just a weird thing. But then when someone else has the same experience, someone completely unrelated, that's when you're like, whoa, wait a minute, maybe. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
So, I gotta get a little personal here. I gotta tell a long story. Okay.
Welcome to Story Time with John, everybody.
This one, I've been sitting here the whole episode debating. I'm like, do I actually want to tell this story or not? Okay?
Yeah.
Because, like, this is a story I haven't told a lot of people. But it fits with the topic. You know what I mean? So, like, we gotta get it out there. Starting when I was, like, a little kid, I used to have these nightmares. Where there was this thing. There was this, like, creature or being in these nightmares that would just give me these horrible feelings. And it wouldn't do anything. It would just be there, you know? And it was such a weird thing that, like, I don't know where my child mind put this thing together. It was almost like a shadow person in that it was just flat black. But it was also like 2-dimensional. So if it were to turn sideways, it's like it wouldn't even be there. And it was like tall and slender, like long-limbed. But the biggest thing was its head. It had this head that was like almost like it had horns, but it didn't. It's like the head was shaped as if it had horns, but it was all the head. It was a strange thing. And, you know, that was just something, you know, it was in nightmares as like a little kid. Okay? So we go forward about 10 years from then. When I was around 13 years old, it's not a great time in my life. And I used to have this feeling, and I ended up telling my mom about it one night. And that's when I was first introduced to the idea of demonic oppression. And there was a time when I would always feel like there was something standing behind me, like no matter where I was. When I was walking, there was always like something breathing down my neck. If I was sitting down, and this is where it gets specific rather than like, there's just something behind me, you know what I mean? It was weird things where like if I was sitting down, it would be standing over my right shoulder looking down at me. If I was laying in a bed, it would be standing to the side of me looking down at me. It was just always there. And it was a feeling, like not something I ever saw, just this weird feeling. You know that feeling when something is there, like that you can feel a presence? And I told my mom about this. And that's when I was introduced to the idea. She's like, I don't know, maybe this is that, you know? Years went by. It eventually went away, you know? Never thought anything of it again. I was like, you know, that was just a dark time. It's probably, you know, going through puberty, just losing it a little bit. And then one day, I was listening to a show called Real Ghost Stories Online, which is a podcast, but also a live show where people call in and just tell stories that have happened to them. So this girl who was about my age called in, and she was telling a story about this thing that she would see in her dreams. As she started describing it, I started getting goosebumps because I was like, oh no, like I know what she's gonna say. And I hadn't thought about this in a lot of years. And then as I'm thinking that, she continues and describes the exact thing, the same head, everything. And it's like, I'd never seen this anywhere. It was just something in my dreams, and I thought it was just something my mind had created, and that this person somewhere else in the country who was around the same age as me was also having dreams about this same being just freaked me out on another level. I had goosebumps so bad, my eyes were watering, like it freaked me out, and I hadn't thought about it in like 10 years.
Alternate explanation. Aliens. John,
But
were you anally probed?
It could be, though.
It's an encounter with the fourth kind.
What if? Because it would have been around the same time period. But this person was in like New Mexico or Arizona, you know, really far away from here. And
it's easy to move around in space.
But yeah, who knows? Maybe it was aliens. I did have a probing dream once.
Yeah, we know. You've told us.
You know.
I know. Yeah, I'm going to say this sounds like the angel on the shoulder kind of thing.
but not a good thing. Like, it was not like a positive feeling.
There's two sides to that: the angel and devil on the shoulder. But you always feel like,
got some more, Brian?
Sure, why not?
He's gonna make sure everyone else gets more, so he can take what's left over.
No, you're gonna pour the rest.
No,
there's nothing left.
Brian's getting the rest there.
No, but it's
that's
like
the last of the How Now Brown Cow Salted Caramel. How Now Brown Cow Salted Caramel Brown.
All right, Brian got this much. John, yours came up to here when you filled yours.
Yeah,
I'm still rocking the first glass.
I'm just waiting for the next ones where I'm going to give you guys half a glass from the beginning because you guys might not even like them.
Yeah, I'll probably drink it.
That's
but
fair.
No, like I was saying, it just reminds me of the angel and the devil on your shoulder thing, where you, at your birth, at the like establishment of your soul, you have your angel and your demon, and they're always with you.
Like a cartoon.
Like a cartoon. Yeah, if it's easier to think about that. It's your good and your bad conscience, essentially. Okay. But I like the idea.
You always try and dumb down his ideas, don't you? Just to make him just a little dumber
if it's
sounding.
Easy, I can't help myself.
But I know it's the demonic oppression feeling, but it's always when you're younger that the things, like, you feel what you've done bad more in your heart than you do when you do things that are good. Now, I'm not saying you did anything bad.
Well,
regret.
The guilt always weighs
the negative hangs with you more than the positive.
And that's when you were saying it's like, man, it's like it's just over your shoulder, or it's like standing over you all the time. It's like maybe you had a guilty feeling about something when you were a kid, and that's what you were feeling because you can feel that heaviness in your heart.
That was always weird to me is that I'm not a person who tends to do bad things.
I know, but you
know what I mean? Like, I'm never a guilty person. I don't have regrets about things, and so that's why it was really standing out to me.
I'm saying,
like, I felt like
especially when you're like 4 to 5 years old. I mean,
no, see, 4 to 5 years old is when the dreams were going on.
Right. That's what I mean.
When I was feeling the thing was like 13 years.
Okay, so you're actually feeling like the coldness.
An actual presence. Yeah,
but I'm not saying like when you're a kid, like you might not understand. Or it might not present itself in a way that you recognize, like when it's standing over you or something like that. And it doesn't even have to be a recognizable bad feeling. It could just be, man, my thoughts got weird that one day. And it's like, man, why does my heart feel weird? It's like my heart feels heavy, but I don't know why. And as a child, it's like, you don't understand a lot. Yeah. And it's like, a child doesn't know what guilt is for the most part.
And that's why, like, it went away for years. Like, I never thought about it. I was like, it's just a kid. Good things. But then hearing about it from another person describing the same being was what just really weirded me out. I was like, maybe there is something out there. You know what I mean? Like, maybe there's some weird evil spirit that, like,
some
messes with children.
Thing.
Yeah.
And that
now, to be fair, is that even demonic oppression, though?
Well, it depends if it's an evil spirit, a demon. I mean, it's...
In the spirit of Job,
interchangeable.
That was straight Satan, though.
Right, but it took things from people.
Yeah.
It took her Stomatis' knowledge of her job.
Well,
so it takes
not everything
things.
Taken has to be tangible.
Right.
It could be your comfort, your security, things like that. You know, I never felt comfortable. So, things were taken. You know, it's not that they also literally have to take your job away.
It depends on the person, because like you could be in like a shitty physical situation, but like you can always feel good about yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, what's there to be taken? Your overall comfort with yourself.
Exactly.
So like it just depends on like the type of person. Like if you're like Job, who literally has physically everything,
but he feels good about himself.
Like sorry, what was her name in your story?
Stomatis. I don't remember her first name.
Stomatis. Like she could have been like extremely good at her job, and so like that's what carried her. So the one thing you're going to take
the confidence in her ability to do her job.
Her ability to do her job.
Amy Stomatis.
Amy.
Yep.
Yeah, but she still, like what she was saying, I didn't jump, something was there, which means she still has faith in like herself and maybe God. I don't know. But it sounded like she was sure of herself, but it was just her ability to do things.
She's convinced of her own sanity in a way. Then that, like, she's like, no, I'm not crazy. There's genuinely something there. But, and that's the whole question of it is there something? Is there some...
I mean, you hearing about it, I mean, let's say we take this from the theological standpoint. There's God knows how many demons that are constantly every day tempting people on Earth with the minor and the major. It's like maybe to a human, child, or adolescent, or young adult, they don't have varying shapes. It's just this is kind of the form your mind chooses to make it look like. And that's the most tangible way to look at it.
Yeah.
So,
like an imaginary friend that is actually a evil demon
there.
Because that's the way your child mind is able to perceive what's there.
Because they want you to be comfortable with it at first, I would think.
Yeah, that's how they tempt you.
They want you to let it in.
Well, that's why Satan is described as the ultimate
your guilty pleasures.
Yeah, like nobody's going to make a deal with Satan if he's this scary looking goat beast thing. That's why what was the CW when they made Lucifer? Like, why'd you get the most attractive actor you could find to be Lucifer?
A great show.
To be fair,
I'm surprised you said that, because I actually like that shit.
It's a good show.
So Lucifer is actually based on a comic book.
Yeah,
wherein Lucifer was based on David Bowie. In the
I still don't get that, because the
man had a very large package.
Well, the guy who plays Lucifer in the show is an incredibly gorgeous man. David Bowie to me is really gross. He is really ugly. Like,
well, that's
even in his younger years, it was like,
yeah, like I feel like only like people who are lying to themselves think David Bowie's like really.
There's
sexy.
people that think Nicolas Cage is attractive.
He is technically attractive.
Who's the guy that played?
Like, no one's attracted to him, but he's technically an attractive person.
Oh, who's Jeff Goldblum? Is another one that people are like, why you like
He's
him?
another. Jeff Goldblum is like technically attractive.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like David Bowie's not.
Well, most
not
people
technically, or
most people are technically attracted to somebody.
Well, no, you know what I mean by like facial symmetry, things like that, like classical attraction. You know,
like
what
stereotypes, basically.
The rule of thirds.
That kind of stuff. Like, yes, Nicolas Cage is technically attractive. Jeff Goldblum is technically.
But there's people that will like tell you, "Oh yeah, he's very attractive," and you're looking at it and going, "I don't see it."
Nicolas Cage could throw me around for a little bit.
Instead of being upset by that, you should look at it as there's a chance that somebody somewhere
finds you attractive.
Exactly.
I'm not going to hold my breath, so I'm not too worried about it. But no, it's like it always came back to Satan. He was the ultimate tempt to human. I don't know what a tempter.
Was it the great deceiver was the term used, wasn't it?
There were a lot of terms used
for Satan. He's got a lot, but he was like the ultimate. Like, if you could succumb to his temptations, he would get you. And it was always like, I'm not going to succumb to temptation when this red goat beast thing comes walking up to me going, "Hey, you want some fucking power?" It's like,
some people would.
Yeah, some people would. And they're crazy. But then it's like, you're looking at it, it's like, I don't know. But Satan was an angel. Angels have no real form in the in the old Bible. Like, when you hear the descriptions of what angels were, it's like, what were all the archangels? Well, it turns out, I think it was...
You hear the descriptions, it's like they could not even look at them.
Yeah, it was
because it was like...
was it Michael?
Unseeable.
I can't remember which one it was. But it... Like, I guess the best way I could describe is it's like 6 rings going around a center point, but all the rings have eyes on them with a center glow with wings behind it. And that was the angel.
Yeah,
like, that's not a fucking person.
Who was that appeared to? Was it...
I couldn't tell. But I know... Like, the best...
I can't remember who that was, the story of...
I hate to bring this up because you're going to make fun of me, but
don't we always?
But in the anime...
That's actually exactly where I'm going. In the anime Evangelion, where...
I thought that was about, like, mechs.
It is, but they're fighting the angels. It's got heavy biblical, like, tones to it. But they call them the angels. But these things, they all have biblical names and everything. And it's like, one is a giant cube that can form geometrical shapes and fire a fucking laser. Another one is a giant 3-layered eye with, like, humanoid, like, screaming faces coming off of one of it, and it plummets to Earth and would destroy the planet. Then it's like, you got the twins that move and fight in perfect synchronicity.
Okay.
And it's like, fuck. This is like, these are what the angels are supposed to be. They're supposed to be terrifying and powerful.
Cool.
So it's like, well, if Satan has the ability to just become anything, it's like, oh, that hot lady at the bar who's trying to tempt you into...
That's definitely Satan. Yeah.
I gotta say, though, these last 2 episodes have been, I think, the most input we've ever been able to get out of Brian. This is awesome.
Yeah, fuck.
Brian's really like an active participant here. Like, this is great.
Yeah, we just have to kick him off for 4 weeks and bring him back. And
I got sick.
It's been
bite
solid.
my ass.
Like, this is great.
But no, it's like all that. And I mean, I'm not 100% on the formation of demons, but I mean, you got the ones for, I guess you got the 8 levels of hell, or the 9 levels of hell, and their demonic, like, keepers. But there was never, I think, in Dante's Inferno, they never really talked about the demons.
Well,
it's been a while since I've read it. Because
Divine Comedy is a comedy. So it's not like an authoritative text on demons.
No, I know that.
It's comedy in the traditional sense, where a tragedy, everybody dies, and a comedy, only some people die.
Yeah.
So,
but it's like...
in some comedies,
that was the thing
dies.
that was supposed to describe hell, and it's like, when you look at it, that doesn't have the side of temptation to the public, because that's based on like sin and all that kind of shit, and that's how you got put there. It wasn't you were tempted into that, it's just that's how you lived your lifestyle.
Yeah, that whole thing's like a fun joke, in that, like, in Dante's Inferno, like, there's all these different layers of hell for like different levels of sinners, and like at certain points there's a whole section where like demons play trumpets with their butts. Like, it's just it's a stupid thing. Yeah,
but that shows that it's like, you're not tempted to be evil. It's completely based off your lifestyle, which you have control of, which would mean that the oppression wouldn't be there for that. But if you look at other religious ways to look at it,
well, does this mean the Garden of Eden was demonic oppression?
No,
because she was tempted in taking the apple and lost everything.
That's temptation.
That's temptation.
A whole different concept.
Okay.
Yeah, that's not oppression,
because something everyone experiences every day. So,
I mean, again, it's another. Which story do you kind of favor more? Was it that Adam and Eve were built in the image of God, which makes them almost God? Like, if Adam and Eve, the first humans, were built in the image of God, then that means they are more godly than even the angels.
Some say they were giants.
Some say they were. But if that's the case, then Satan never had a chance to be a demonic oppression to them, because they were so close to God's image and his likeness that he was already they were above Satan. They were above the angels, because God did not build the angels in his image.
He still made them human, as I want to say, an experiment.
Okay, so technically human changed after that event.
Yes.
I mean,
so in a way, yes, they were sort of directly supposed to have been made in God's image, where then that event cursed humanity for all of eternity. In that, then our lifespan would be shorter, childbirth would be painful. Like, there's all these different things like that were like a punishment to humanity for that action.
Yeah, for defying God's one order.
So it could be that the first humans in, that line of thinking, that the first humans would have been meant to be immortal and like gods.
Yes.
But
and
who knows?
And Satan, who was doomed to fall, the angel of treachery, no matter what. Like, they think whatever the fuck you want to abide by, that Satan, no matter what, he was going to fall, whether it was this or something else. But he got jealous of humanity being created because they were God's favorites, whereas the angels and Satan were God's favorites.
He wants it to be Daddy's favorite.
Yeah, pretty much. Where he was the child of, oh, I'm Satan, I'm so fucking cool, look at me. And then God creates these two humans, and he's like, this is perfect. So Satan, in jealousy, tries to get them to defy the one order. Now, he can't make them do it. They have to do it of their own free will.
Right.
So he plays to Eve, going, hey, this fucking apple, I don't remember what the apple was called, but I think it was like knowledge or something that they gave him. It's like it's going to give you knowledge.
It was the forbidden fruit from the tree of knowledge.
Yes.
Sometimes described as the tree of knowledge of good and evil.
Yeah. But he had to convince Eve because he knew Adam would not. I can't remember the exact, but there's some where Adam bit the apple to be with his wife.
There are some lines of thinking.
Yeah.
The apple was not an apple, but a blowjob. Let that hang there.
like on a tree.
It's an argument that some people have made.
Adam
that
took his dick off the apple tree and attached it to his own.
The fruit was not a fruit itself, but it was certain sexual acts that were forbidden.
Why does everything have to like go back to like sex being evil?
I don't know.
We clearly know that Adam and Eve were not a married couple then, otherwise that never would have happened.
Well, I mean, technically they were literally sort of the same person in a way.
They were...
Because she was made from him.
So at that point, is it just masturbation?
She was like a clone, in a way, if you wanted to say that.
Yeah.
You call her a clone.
A genetic variation.
Then there's also other ideas that she was not the first.
Are you saying Adam?
Or another episode.
But no, that's
why I like that show Lucifer, because it portrays the devil like he's not a bad guy. He's just a dude with daddy issues. You know? Because like he was just given a job that kind of sucked, but like God knew that he could do it. And like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Would you say you feel sympathy for the devil?
I love that song. Hey, in a way, maybe there could be actually sympathy for the devil. Because like, to me, from what like, because, you know, I'm not a religious man. I don't do all the readings at all. But like, to me, like from what I've heard over all my years, it's just kind of like, to me, it was like the devil was just given a shitty job and he was kind of pissed about it. He was to be the...
And so he started a war.
In heaven.
See, and like, so like, and then this is where everyone tells me.
It's like, it goes a little further.
This is where everyone tells me the details. And I'm just like, oh.
Yeah, it's a little more than just like hey, you're a no-no, you cast down. Like there was supposedly like a war.
But like, it wasn't even so much like hey, you're a no-no. It's like, hey, we need you to do this because we need you to do this job because this job is important. We need you to be the caretaker of the underworld.
Yeah, but if you think about it, if Satan hadn't tempted Eve to bite the apple and create evil in humanity, there would never have been a hell. Like, so was he created... And like is a chicken or the egg? Did God create him because he knew this was going to happen?
Like, you know, and that's where like I get like my little take on it because it's little, and obviously I don't know the details of everything, but it's just kind of like I said, the daddy issues. He's upset that he was cast down.
The funny part,
and he's also.
I think
pissed.
It's more of a Hollywood portrayment.
Sure, it is. I mean, they made a TV show about it basically.
They made books and TV and all kinds.
And it's just kind of like, you know, if all that is true, then it's like maybe he is just pissed but jealous at us humans because we're supposed to be God's favorite, and he's like, but they're weak.
Yeah, we were never the angel. Fuck's sake, close it.
All right, I gotta step back for a second. Where you were about, you know, if there wasn't him, there never would have been.
I'll go ahead and shut up now because clearly I know nothing.
I don't know what you were talking about, but I could hear Brian while I was in the bathroom. There are a lot of people who believe that there is no hell still. While there is Satan and demons and everything, but there's actually no hell, and that the hell is earth, because Satan was, I can't remember exactly how it's worded, but he was given dominion over the earth in a weird way. Like he was sort of cursed to roam the earth, he and the demons and things. So the idea of hell is debated, especially like in Judaism, they do not believe in hell.
Yeah.
So
I mean, there's Christian faiths.
Yeah, there's a lot of different belief systems to say that hell doesn't even exist, but that this is hell.
Yeah.
And so
it's our extended vacation away from paradise.
Yeah. It's just an interesting concept. Made very nicely in The Great Divorce by C.S. Lewis, where basically in the book everybody lives in this gray city and they're waiting for this bus, and they get on this bus.
The grass hurts them.
Yeah, the grass hurts them and things because they're just not capable of accepting the change, and so they willingly go back to hell, not realizing it, but because of the fear of change. It's weird, but it's a really good book.
Got a little far from demonic oppression, but back to it.
Yeah.
Which I guess my original point was that Satan has the ability, since he's an angel and he had no true physical form, I would assume, like all the other angels that had these monstrous forms, he has the ability to change into anything that could be desirable to tempt humanity. Because there's a lot of people that have different things. It's like one size does not fit all in humanity. And
but you don't think he has like a definite form, like a base?
I don't think he does.
Yeah, because for me, like Satan is a juicy old pile of pulled pork.
Like, it's bad for you, but you just
knows.
Satan is literally he's every McDonald's in the world.
Oh shit!
For all we know.
So now we know John will do some fucked up shit for pulled pork.
There's people that have said Walmart is Satan because of how many people a year that get killed under their pay. I mean, Apple, Satan. Apple.
Basically, to most people, or not, I wouldn't say most, but to some people, any big corporation
is Satan.
Yeah. Because most big corporations, they do sketchy shit sometimes.
Oh, yeah. It's sketchy shit in other countries.
But that's business, baby.
Yeah.
Business is sketchy.
And people will say that's Satan tempting entrepreneurs to do these things, where it's like, when a factory goes overseas, it's like you could stay home and pay these people a decent wage,
or you could take advantage of slave labor in China.
Yeah, or you could
Spotify.
Or you could take advantage of a population that makes next to nothing, making your products for people that pay a lot of money, and it's like this product cost 86 cents to make. Or actually, what is it? I think they said like an iPhone has like $20 worth of material to make it, but they sell it for $1,200.
Mm-hmm.
And the people that made it see like none of it.
Well, of course not.
Well, because a lot of it,
suicide nets.
Just because it's, the material costs are very cheap, there's a lot of research, development, and technology that goes into turning that material. Like if I handed you the raw material for an iPhone,
so what you're saying is they have to pay
an iPhone.
They have to pay the Jasons in America that developed the technology for the phone so much that they're forced to use slave labor and drive people to suicide.
Why do you think your wages are so low?
Because you guys take so much.
Yeah. Well, that's always been research and development to production.
Right.
Where research and development has always been a white collar. The people that will hurt and die to make it has been blue collar. You never see a weapons manufacturer in the field. You see their product,
and you shit. I mean, why would the person that designed the object
design the gun?
We're getting way off topic.
What does this have to do with demonic oppression?
Yeah. It's the thought of just companies
evil
as
corporations,
evil, and that Satan is pushing it, or demons are pushing it. I mean, it's the same thing. Like
I will have to further explore this in another episode because we've gotten so far from demonic oppression.
Oh no, we can get back. We can get back. Oh, come on, we don't have to stop.
It almost seems like you are just starved for human interaction and you just want to talk.
Guess what? You get to host the next episode.
Oh, I'm gonna fucking host.
There we go.
Which, by the way, we have kept a running average of how long each presenter's episodes are.
So Jason needs to talk for a few more minutes right now.
You are currently
the shortest,
the bottom of the barrel.
Yeah,
shorter than guests.
Yeah,
yeah. So why don't you take all this
enthusiasm and pump it into an hour and a half?
It's a completely different concept, though. It's not about evil or temptation.
Well, we'll find out in episode 3.
It's not. Well, I mean, part of it is
39. No, I have no idea what episode numbers are around these days.
15.
Yeah, I was going to say it's 4.
Episode 15 will be
Brian,
you'll run 15. You can run as long as you want.
Don't tempt me. This is a very open concept that I can run with.
So, let's demonic oppression. Yay, nay. Any closing thoughts?
Oh, I'm convinced it's there.
Possible.
Possible.
Yeah.
All right. Cool.
But what about you, Jason?
Just not
possible. You're the resident atheist. Well, yeah. I mean, Jesse's also an atheist, but
Well, I wouldn't say atheist.
Agnostic a little bit, but you're the resident atheist here. How do you feel about the idea of demonic oppression? I need to
sidetrack this. What do you feel is the difference between atheist and agnostic?
To me, agnostic still believes in some higher power, just not necessarily what all these religions say.
Jesse's into Greek and Roman mythology.
Because I'm agnostic.
Yeah, you think there's a higher power, just not the one everybody else believes in. Well, so you believe in Poseidon.
But they still believe in all those different gods and everything. No, I don't put like any kind of label on it.
I bet you're more of a
because
Hermes
I can't.
Guy.
Well, once again. But
I bet Hermes drives a Harley Davidson.
Atheist is just nothing.
Yeah.
Like we're here, life's meaningless, you die, or you're born, you die, it just
you become a tree, you get cut down, they print the Bible.
Did I get that correct?
The way I've always heard it explained is an agnostic says it is impossible to know if there is a higher power.
Yes.
And then atheist says it is impossible for there to be a higher power.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. So me thinking that it's not impossible makes me agnostic.
Right.
Because who knows?
Because you can't know.
So does that put you which category then?
Me?
Yeah, atheist or
atheist still.
Atheist still?
Yeah.
So where do you sit on the demonic oppression thing? Well, you can only have one answer.
Yeah, your answer is no.
Your answer is no.
To put it long, it is just like when they would say, someone in a chariot pulled the sun across the sky.
Mm-hmm.
It is taking something you can't explain easily, and putting a
little bit of magic on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Who said they pulled a chariot with the sun in it?
So do you believe
Egyptians?
Yeah.
Well, I guess luck is kind of a open
luck is
term.
That's not a religious.
No.
Luck is perception.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like, do you think it's just some people have just bad luck?
Do you think that some are cosmically cursed?
No, because it's a function of the universe. It's just either it's going to happen or it's not going to happen.
So you're saying the universe may be a higher power?
No, it's saying that you can calculate how a dice is going to land from the second it leaves a person's hand.
Yeah,
it's all a factor of forces. It's not random.
Butterfly
we
effect.
Perceive it as random because we don't know the full system in play.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were to you could simulate that dice rolling and know its answer every single time.
I mean, with enough practice, you could make a 6-sided die land on the same face every single time.
Right.
As long as you understand the forces at play.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it's like you throw a die from your hand, and the moment it leaves your hand, you're studying the rotation, the gravitational pull, the weight.
Exactly the weight.
And it's going to hit this way, and then it's going to hit that way, and then it's going to land on a 2.
Now, for you to master that would be fucking incredible.
Yeah.
That would be impossible.
I'll still roll a natural 1 every time. It doesn't matter. But
in life.
Thanks, John.
Double kill.
All right. So.
Yeah, I guess that's the end of the episode, people. And have fun, everybody.